Hello, hello, hello. So I have to stop doing that. Whenever I notice my editing, I say so in front of so many things and then I smack. And I'm like, where did I get that from? But sometimes it's good to record yourself. And I started doing it a long time ago when I started teaching. Record yourself a little, then you can see. And when I first started making these videos a while back, I used to pace, like in circles, like back and forth over and over again. And I was like, why was I doing that? But if you don't know, then you don't know, right? And I didn't look in the camera at all. I was always looking around thinking it. And I probably still do that now because I'm very thinky. So nonetheless, I had this strange feeling today that sometimes we believe in certain processes and how they're going to work out in our lives, but we only believe them in a limited scope. Like if we can see a how on how something is going to get done, like how we're going to attract this new mate, how we're going to get this working vehicle, how we're going to take this trip, how are we going to send our children to a school we want to send them to, how are we going to maybe even just go out to dinner with our family on the weekend. So some of these things, depending on where you are in your journey at any particular time, because we all know it's an ebb and it's a flow. You may feel more comfortable once you decide in your head there's a how it can get done. But let me ask you this. How many times have you discovered a how of something, how something's going to get done, and it's gone in a complete opposite direction and the fulfillment was still complete? You still manifested what you wanted, you still got what you needed, you still found yourself on the other end of it being peaceful and happy for the solution, but the how it got done wasn't even remotely close to what you were sitting around worrying about and dreaming up. And that's something I've noticed a lot lately, because okay, the summertime and like right before school starts, that is like a downtime for me. That is like when I work on the least amount of things, but I heavily indulge in self-care. And when I say self-care, I mean I cook for myself, I leave the TV off in the daytime, I let the house be peaceful and quiet. My daughters, if they ask to stay extra by their granny's house to do this or that, I let them go. And I used to always want to get them back because, okay, now I got them back at home. There's some purpose. But a part of me is still that way. But another part of me says, these times are here for a reason. And when you're in a time of rest, you should take advantage of it, because think about how many times in your life you had to scramble around, or you thought you had to scramble around and figure out how things were going to get done. And so when we focus too much on the how of something, it takes us away from focusing on the beauty of the end result that we're looking forward to. So say money. That's a big one for so many people. I want money, 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 money. You ever notice when people that say they want money and need it all the time find a way to get rid of it anyway? Like they say they need money, but it's like when it comes, it doesn't necessarily get used for the best purposes. I don't know what the best purposes are, but what I'm saying is that it kind of just, the same way it floated in, it floats on out, right? And it's not that they don't get their hands on money, it's just that the idea of needing something to completely you or to make you feel better about where you are is never enough. So it's never used in a way that it's seen as enough. So if you are, say it's money you're working on, say money's something that you're trying to bring into your life. The end result of getting this money is for you to feel more peaceful, more secure, and more at ease, and more free, right? You want freedom, you want options, you want ease, you want all these things. So some of the teachings and the books that I've been reading lately and the teachings that I've been listening to lately, because I'm trying to always understand things from several aspects, several frames, several different points of views. It says that if you are focused on the money, then you're stuck in step 2. So like the first thing is dreaming up the desire, dreaming up the thing that you really, really want to accomplish. The second thing is the how it's going to get done. And then the method in which it's going to happen, the vessel it's going to pass through. And then the third thing is the actual feelings that are going to come once you acquire this thing, because everything is about the way we feel, about how it makes us feel. Even when we're doing charity for other people or we're donating money, it's because it makes us feel good to help other people. So everything that we do in our life is about largely in the way that we feel or don't want to feel. So even when we do nice things for other people, people say, why do you do nice things for other people? Because I like them to know that I care about them. Well, why do you like them to know that you care about them? Because if they know that I care about them, it makes me feel better about our relationship. It makes me feel like I'm nurturing the relationship and putting energy into it. So don't be mistaken, everything is about the way that we feel. It's kind of like where you place that. So if you think about the how, and you think about that middle section of how things happen, think about how many people get stuck there. They have these great desires, and then it's like, and the reason why you get stuck in the how area is because your brain and your brain doesn't have the capacity to dream up all of the multitude of ways that something can happen for you. Say you're looking for $100, and the first thing that you can see is, okay, I can borrow it from a family member. That's the first thing. I can borrow it, you know. Of course, that's a solution. You can go do that. That's, it'll work, you're gonna borrow it, you gotta go pay it back, so it'll work in the meanwhile. But what about getting that money free of charge? So it's like you're getting this money in the how. It may show up through a whole bunch of other things. Someone may just give you a card. I've had these things happen so much. It's like, it's kind of the way I live my life. I'm always free falling. So I dream of these desires, and then I might fiddle around a little bit with the hows and how it's gonna get done. And that might drive me to do a lot of things. So I do freelance work. So a lot of times I'm like, I used to go to networking events, and I used to fish around for contracts, and I used to email people to update them on what I had going on. And everything I do is on contract. Even when I teach, it's on contract. When I do writing work for other people, it's on contract. Everything I do, I'm not on anybody's payroll, I'm on contracts, which is how I always wanted to exist. So when I do these things, the first thing in my head, it used to be, look at all the places where I can receive this from. And then I would focus only on those areas, and I try to make what I want happen as the end result by only looking at those specific hows. But it was always so limited. And so now my approach is, I have these desires and things that I want to fulfill. And then my second step, instead of focusing on how it's going to get done, I just remain in gratitude that it's already getting done, that the pieces of the puzzle are already coming together. Think about all the things that have to come together for you to have certain manifestations in your life. All of the options, like you got beautiful children today, right? You had to be set up in the place to meet the person that you made those children with, whether you like them or not, whatever. The children are beautiful, beautiful children, what schools they go to, the people they've come in contact with. All those things are being lined up according to your initial desire. And if you start getting involved in the muck of how something happens, then you start ruining the end result of how that thing is supposed to make you feel when it gets done, because you can never do as great a job as the universe at figuring out the path to least resistance to getting those things done. And it's very simple, and it's easy. And I've done it too. Looking for work, I fish and fish and fish, and none of those fishings that I put out there actually got me back anything. And then I'm just sitting there watching TV one day, or watching some kind of videos on YouTube or something, and then I get 2 emails saying, would you like to do this? Would you like to do that? And I'm like, hey, and so a lot of times we don't have a clue about who's paying attention, who's watching, who's gonna need our services, how we're gonna get from one point to the other. So my biggest goal all the time is dream up the desires, and then think next. Instead of thinking about the how, sometimes the hows are freeing. I kind of think about, it can happen like this, it can happen like that. It's not as specific as it used to be. I just like to open my brain up to all the ways that it can happen. And then I tell myself, and then a million more ways. So I'll think of 5 good ways that it can happen, and then I say, and a million more that haven't even crossed my mind. And then I think about what I want in the end: peace, clarity, excitement, maybe happiness, all these things, and I'm like, I'm not going to wait for this thing in the middle to happen. I'm going to have that stuff now. So I'm going to be happy today. I'm going to be grateful today. I'm going to be peaceful today. I'm going to accept the ease in my life and not try to fill the space all the time, because that's a huge deal. And I'm going to just be grateful. So the point of this conversation is, sometimes we outwit our intuition. And I don't think it's possible, but our intuition tells us to be still, to listen, to get more grounded, and to allow those things to happen in our lives and be ready to receive them in many different forms, keep ourselves open. But sometimes our action is so readily available that we can't help but use it. And we'll run in circles for like, you ever done this? Run in circles for like a whole day trying to figure out something, finagle. I remember when I used to always have like money issues, like with banks and, you know, just coming up short and trying to solve it. I used to hustle around the whole day trying to figure out my money because I was never really a good 9-to-5 kind of girl. So I was always trying to, you know, do things outside of systems, and I would make it work. Now I find myself running around in circles trying to fix things and trying to be an equalizer of some sort when it came to the issues in my life. And what I found is that I was always in that position. And when I told myself, you know what, let the chips fall where they may. I'm not borrowing nothing from anybody. I'm not asking anybody for money. I'm not about to try to hold on to possessions that are being taken, not taken, that are being flushed out of my environment through not being able to pay for them or energy movement, whatever. And I said, I'm just going to let that be like it is. And the minute I got on that side of it, then I started seeing how I would run around in circles, and then sometimes these things would get solved for me. It was being solved for me before I even knew. I would call and harass the school. My financial aid hasn't come through. No, but and I would have a good nature and I would have a positive attitude. But in the background, somebody was already fixing what I thought needed to be fixed. Simple, simple, simple things, always working out for you. I pull up at the dealership to get my car checked on. I have this huge nail sitting inside of my tire and didn't even know it. So while I think I'm going in there for, and it didn't even give me any signal inside the vehicle like it should, while I think I'm going in there just for like a routine checkup and an oil change or whatever, they find a huge nail in my tire on an extremely rainy day. And I was like, wow, look at this. Something's always working in your favor. And when you believe that it's the how is being worked out for you all the time, you spend less time on that. You see the how as like recreational, like it can happen like this, it can happen like this, it can happen like this, and then you go and a million other ways I haven't even thought of, and then you go into gratitude, peace, happiness, joy, freedom, love, all those wonderful things that you're trying to attain by the middle thing happening. So anyway, I made something really good today, some shrimp tacos. And so before I ate, I wanted to come sit down and do this. And I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. It's gloomy here in Dallas, but I'm sure it's beautiful somewhere around here, right? But I think the gloominess is beautiful too. I think the rain rinsing everything off is kind of like a renewal, right? Anyway, have a good day.